We're the Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
Hey everybody, welcome to a very special edition of the Plotaholics Podcast, ? We are both on video and audio, and we are with a very special guest, Brian. We are joined today by none other than Dona Speir from Hard Ticket to Hawaii, a.k.a. Donna Hamilton. I believe is her name in the movies eventually. But let's bring in Donna. And Donna, welcome.
Woo!
Hi, guys. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man.
I don't even know where to start. I'm such an unbelievable fan of these movies, first of all.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes. Absolutely.
I
didn't even realize how much of a fan I was because, keep in mind, when these came out, I was younger and I had no business watching any of them at all. But I would sneak in.
What are you doing up so late?
Sneaking in being terrorized and traumatized by Linnea Quigley in Return of the Living Dead and not being able to sleep for one.
Donna, I think that the place where I want to start is just with the experience of being in these Andy Sedaris movies in general. It looks like everyone's having a lot of fun. Was it fun to do these movies?
It was a hoot to do these movies. First of all, they're obviously low-budget films. Mm-hmm. So what Andy did was he got a group of really good-looking people who needed money, right, who would work ridiculously long hours and wanted to go to great places. And he'd take us all and we would all go and work. And it was a lot of fun. I made 7 films for Andy. And so it was after a while, it became a family for us. And he was hilarious. I mean, bless Andy's heart. He passed probably about, I would say maybe 10, 15 years ago now. 15 years ago. He was the best to work for. He was absolutely hilarious. He was so much, and he made it fun because we work long hours. We work 15-hour days on set. They were long hours.
Well, it's probably not so long if you're in Hawaii, right?
Well, that was one of the things. I mean, he brought us to Hawaii during daylight savings. So we start when the sun goes up and we stop when the sun goes down, filming outside. And then we go indoors for filming. So, we worked long hours. That crew worked incredibly long hours.
So knowing Andy for as long as you did, what insight can you give us about, this was clearly a passion project. I feel like him and Arlene probably funded most of this out of pocket.
They did the first couple, and then they got picked up by Warner Brothers and Columbia Pictures and some other people. But first, I'll tell you what, they put their houses up for this.
Wow!
They did. They put their home up for these films, and so it was like, here's your paper bag, sack lunch. Get out there. Are you sure you don't have your own clothes for wardrobe? And it was like we would work 30 days back to back. I'd come home and my 23-year-old body was like, I'm dying.
Now, you said that you guys all got together to film this stuff. Did you have screening parties where everyone got together to watch the final product? Or?
Oh yeah, we did that. We did that, a couple of them, but it wasn't until we got into the bigger productions that we had big screening parties, like at Paramount. We would go to the Cary Grant MGM Theater and things like that. Mm. So, but we'd have little screening parties and wrap parties at people's houses. Yeah.
That's awesome. It felt to me like I think I prefer the first half of that catalog. Probably when it's when it's a little bit more low budget and a little more, I don't know why I like those. I think they're quirkier. There's a lot that can be
said about low budget. Yeah, the quirkiness, and it's more, I don't want to say less stress, because if they're putting their houses up for some of these earlier ones, but you're still able, but it's still, you don't have to worry about the studios because the bosses are already there, and the bosses are the ones that have the the vision, where you don't have to worry about the vision of somebody like 150 to 1,000 miles away that don't know what the hell they're talking about.
You know, it's funny when we were young. So you got to remember, we were really young. I mean, we were a bunch of playmates. We were young. We didn't even understand the vision. I mean, if there was a vision,
you were just like, we're at Hawaii and we're just running around in short shorts.
Exactly. He'd say, stand here, aim your gun, shoot the gun, drop your top. We're blowing this up. Nice. I mean, and that's how Andy directed.
I mean, that's really good direction, I think.
That's amazing direction. But
I will say that a lot of times when directors direct, you don't see the evidence of that in the final product. But watching any of these movies, I can say I clearly see that direction.
Right. I mean, let's be really honest on what they are. I mean, they are masterpieces. They are what they are. I'm really upfront about it. I'm really honest. For me back then, you know, they paid the rent. That's what they did. They paid the rent. We all know I can't act my way out of the paperback. I mean, let's just call it. I'm lucky I could hit my mark back then. And I was grateful that Andy and Arlene gave me a job. I really was, let alone 7 of them. They called me back. That was amazing. So, but
you can't do these movies without Donna. Come on now.
Well, they did after a while. They did.
That sucked. That's upsetting.
And I want to talk about that when we get to that. At what point, what year did you become a playmate?
I became a playmate in 1984. So I shot in 83. I was published in March of 84. And how I met, do you want to know how I met Andy and Arlene?
I would love to.
Absolutely.
This is really funny. So I've always been athletic. That's always been my gig. I'm very fortunate. I was born athletic. My family's athletic. And so Playboy had this thing back then called the Playmate Playoffs, where all the girls showed up and one side was red bikinis, one side was blue bikinis. And they asked me, Donna, will you come to the mansion and do the Playmate Playoffs? And I said, absolutely not. I am not going to go up against a group of girls and do these dumb little TNA things where you ride a Bronco and your top flies off and you go down these mud slides and your clothes fly off. I said, absolutely will not do it. I don't care how much you pay me. Won't do it. So the first day, I mean, they really wanted me because I was athletic. And it was filmed over 2 days. So the first day they did it, and there was a playmate by the name of Linda Wiesmeyer. And you guys may be a little too young to remember some of these girls. And she got hurt. She actually cracked a rib doing this. I mean, they were pretty strenuous back then. I mean, they were like
contact sports over there at the mansion.
Yeah. She broke a nail. No,
I didn't know it was that kind of party over there.
Right.
Lord.
She cracked a rib. And they called me Saturday night and they said, Donna, will you please, please, please come in? And I'm like going, I'm not doing it, right? I'm not doing it. And they say, what do you want? And I went, And at the time, there were people who had been begging me, and it was a business deal, begging me to get them into the Playboy Mansion. And back then it was very, very exclusive. I mean, you couldn't get anybody in. And they said, we will let you bring up to 10 people to the Playboy Mansion. And there were over 20 centerfolds that day in bikinis running around. And I said, done. I said, I'll bring 10 people, and I want a cell phone, and I wanted this, and you got to remember back then there were no car phones or anything, and so I want a car phone, and I wanted this, and I wanted that, and I'll be there tomorrow morning. And they gave me everything I wanted, so I showed up, and I did all these dumb things, and Andy and Arlene Sidaris happened to be on the sidelines. It was just a fluke. And they saw me and they saw my athletic ability and they went, I want to meet that girl. And that's how it happened.
Yeah, and that's one thing that oh, sorry, go ahead, Shane.
What I just learned about Dona Speir is that she is a hustler.
H-U-S-T-L-E-R, hustler.
Yeah, well, it was actually all business for me. It really was. It was business because there were some people that wanted to get up to the mansion that I owed some business favors to, that I was doing transactions, and that's what it was all about.
Well, not only that, but I mean, you figure, like you said, at the time, couldn't nobody get in. It was like the most exclusive velvet rope in town.
Mm-hmm.
If they're willing to do all that to get you to do something you didn't already want to do, hell, get as much out of it as you can. Let someone come to me and say, Brian, we want you to do this, and we will give you anything you want. It's like, shit, you better get some paper Matter of fact, get a tape recorder because I got a list.
Yep. Yep.
So you met Andy and Arlene there.
Right.
And you were in Hard Ticket is your first, right? Is the first one that you were in.
And that's a film that won't die. And the funny thing is it made this huge comeback, this enormous comeback. I mean, that was the film that I just wished it would have died. I wish it would have died.
Dude, your athleticism in that, even because that's
snake. You know, it's just like I wish that film would have died.
I'm sorry, the snake. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
Look at y'all.
I needed. I want to talk to you about how you interacted with the snake.
Isn't the cancerous, poison-ridden?
Yeah, I was getting ready to say, oh my God, the chemo snake. Oh my God.
There's never been a snake in Hawaii.
Right.
Yeah, that was one of my. I was like, wait, what? Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's not how ecosystems work, but okay.
Oh man, it's too good. And we talked about this on the podcast that the snake showed up every time you forgot about it.
Right,
yeah.
Like,
every time the movie was almost normal, it's like, here comes that snake.
Here comes this snake.
And the snake mostly just kind of like
with Rodrigo Obregon by the car.
All right.
Like 100 yards away.
He's shooting at the thing with a pistol from like 100 yards away.
I love the fact that you hit the snake's fangs. They're just ching, ching. Like, wait, what? When did the snake become Bruce Leroy from The Last Dragon?
But see, like, the snake is one of those elements that I think makes this movie so charming in its own right.
God.
You know, because the later movies don't have this kind of thing.
I wish so bad Andy was alive to see what a comeback this movie did. Because, you know, the truth is, it wasn't, we all knew it was tongue-in-cheek.
Right.
And for those critics who didn't get that back then, they were like, what is this? What is this? But it was tongue-in-cheek. It was I mean, come on, the guy with the skateboard, and he shoots the ball.
That was one of my favorite bits in the movie.
It's so good.
You get it. I mean, it's just stupid. It's just ridiculously stupid, right? And it's tongue-in-cheek. And
well, now we live in a post Sharknado world, right?
Yeah,
and,
where everyone can appreciate
anything. And everything.
If you can watch Sharknado and not shoot yourself, then you can appreciate that stuff.
Right. And so nowadays, it's funny. Nowadays, people get it. It's last year. I guess it was a year. Right. It's funny. This movie made a comeback right when my book was released.
Ooh.
Right when my book was released.
That's pretty lucky, huh?
Yeah,
it was a flu. I had no idea. It was the most bizarre. This is what happened. It was the most bizarre thing. So I'm online, and someone tags me in this group of Hard Ticket to Hawaii, and I'm like, you know, not many people have seen that movie. And then all of a sudden, my fan page or one of my pages one of my group. It was before my fan page. It just blew up. It just blew up, and I'm like, who's seeing this? And it was re-released by, I can't remember the company who re-released it, but it was re-released.
I know it's on Amazon and Blu-ray right now.
Right, but then it got shown in like movie theaters all over the place.
I would love to have gone to
Oh
see
my
that.
God, yes. I would love to be in the theater
so
watching this.
4th of July, it got shown at the Egyptian Theater on Hollywood Boulevard.
Wow.
With Jaws as a double feature. I mean,
yes,
that's excellent.
So I went out, I flew out, and I did a big book signing, and we did it. And of course, California got hit with an earthquake that night. We all evacuated, then we all came back in. I mean, it was like the perfect night. It was crazy.
Yeah, you'll never forget that.
It all just happened all over again, and it was just the greatest. Arlene and I made a big appearance there on 4th of July. I mean, it was just crazy. It was crazy. So who knew it would make a big comeback? And it made a comeback where people actually got it. They were laughing their heads off in the theater. It was the first time I actually saw it on the big screen in 25 years. It was great. It was great.
So I heard a rumor. Well, I heard a rumor going through my Google machine that snake was very difficult to deal with on set. Like the snake had all kinds of crazy demands. Is that accurate?
The snake was a puppet. The snake was a literal puppet.
I was actually curious about about the snake? I mean, I knew it was a puppet, but it was clearly very long as well, and mostly it just moved because someone was either pushing it or pulling it.
I was like, that snake is in Arlene's house, like woven through.
Oh man,
woven through in the house.
That is
literally in the house. It's hilarious.
We've got to talk to Arlene.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you have to. You have to talk to her. You will love. She's the funniest, most lovely woman you've ever had. You'll love her. She knows everything, and she'll tell everything. She's the best.
I'm actually planning on buying the box set, and I am going to watch
I'm
going to watch the entire thing like over and over, because I remember more likely, and I don't know if you were in these ones because I don't recall, the ones where the wrestler Buff Bagwell joins the cast as the Warrior. One movie he was like the villain, and then he was like in the agency. You weren't.
It's like one big continuous movie,
right?
You know,
and that's what I love about him.
It's like you're a good guy, then you die, and you come back a bad guy, and then you die, and you come back a good guy, and then you die, and then you come back the snake. People ask me what was my favorite movie, and it's like I can't tell them apart anymore.
Right. Wow. I can't really tell them apart either, honestly. Right. I know Malibu Express because of Cody Abilene, and then
I never saw it. It was the first one. Right. I wasn't in it. I never saw it.
Even though your character has a poster of it in Hard Ticket to Hawaii on her wall.
Right.
So that continuity just blew my mind. So it's like, wait a minute. So was that movie a movie within a movie? And now my head hurts.
Shameless self-promoting of Andy.
Yes.
Is what that is.
Hey, I'm all for it.
I am curious, Donna, if you decided to walk away from these movies, like, did Andy approach you for more and you said no, or? So
this is what happened. So a couple of things happened, and it was, you know, my life I've been really, really blessed and fortunate. So a lot of things happened right at the same time. So in 1992, I got married, and in 94, I had a child, and about 93, Andy quit directing and turned the films over to his son, and they also went non-union. And so when they went non-union, I could not go non-union because I'd give up my SAG card and all my insurance. Mm-hmm. And I would also end up giving up all my union benefits as far as me going out and working. So it was also time after 7 films, I hung up my hat as Agent Donna Hamilton. So we never parted bad ways or anything like that. It was all just the time for me to go away. So in 1994, when I decided to have a child, I literally walked away from the industry.
Oh. Well, and you were not only in Andy Sedaris films either. You had some other things going on as well.
I've done a lot of stuff. I did like big parts in Andy films and little parts in big films. I did a lot of modeling. I'm kind of a jack of all trades.
I think that you were on the USA original series Silk Stockings.
I did that.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I've done a lot of things. So, I've been blessed all around. Considering I'm a really lazy, bad actress, I've been really blessed to be hired on a lot of things. So. Yeah.
Well, you did a guest spot on Knight Rider. I'm seeing here. What was that like?
I was hired on 4 different episodes of Knight Rider, and it was a blast. Oh no, Knight Rider I did 1, and I worked with David Hasselhoff. That was the funniest thing I ever did. And it wasn't a big part. It was a small part, but my biggest memory on working on that was, do you remember years ago they had those little like motorcycles, little ones, almost like they look like monkeys should ride them.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember
and
those.
They had a couple of those on sets. Now, I've always rode a motorcycle. I'm a Harley girl. I've always owned Harleys. This is probably the first time in my life I don't own one. But I will as soon as I get to Arizona. But they had these little motorcycles there. And David Hasselhoff, I remember David's like 6'4", 6'5". He's a big old boy. Thin, but big guy. So they had these little teeny motorcycles, and David and I got on them. And we were running around around on these motorcycles. So I'm behind David, and all I could see were elbows and knees and no wheels. And we're out on location, like up in a desert area, running around on these teeny little motorcycles. I was, just screwing off.
That's awesome. Did you get to ride in kit?
Pardon? No, I don't know if I rode it. I know the scene of me hanging out on the side of Kit.
Oh, well, that's cool. You got to meet Kit.
You got to meet him, kind of.
Yeah, I was all over Kit.
Who's a better actor, Kit or the snake from Hard Ticket to Hawaii?
That's funny. You guys are funny.
I would say the snake is at least a lot
more
intense.
You know what? The snake gives green fog. But Kit can't do. But Kit can.
That's true.
Talk.
That's true. That's true.
I just got a kick. That snake just snarled at people in a way that I've just never seen a snake snarl before.
Yeah, that snake has a very bad attitude, man.
And it just destroyed your plumbing.
Had it not made the comeback that it made, I probably wouldn't be given this interview because I was like, oh God, hard.
I don't know. That's interesting because we would have these like sort of campy movie nights at my place we would do it every Sunday night, and we did it for like a year, and we started with movies like Troll 2 and The Room and movies like that, and then we kind of ran out of those movies and we were looking for something else, and for some reason somehow we discovered Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Right.
And it was free on YouTube. Someone probably pirated it up there. And I think that had a lot to do with why it sort of had this resurgence, was that it was just there and people started to find it there. And now we watched that and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Like what else has this guy done? And so I fell down the Andy Sedaris rabbit hole. And now I've got the 12 movie box set, and we're doing Andy Sedaris marathons every weekend.
It's amazing how many people. I can't believe how many fans I have from these. They're a cult class. They've turned into a cult classic.
Well, and you're sort of like the cult classic queen now, right? Like you're royalty.
Isn't it scary?
I mean, well, I don't know what it's like to be a cult classic queen. I mean, I've always longed for such titles.
I dub you.
Oh.
I knight you. Hold on. I knight you.
We've been knighted.
You too, Shane. Hold on.
Cult classic knights.
Cult classic knights.
Nice.
I think that I do believe that Donna has the authority to do
She does. Yeah. I'm sure. Hey, with her accoutrement of work, yeah, she definitely has the juice. She has the juice to put it out there.
Absolutely. You may come into the jacuzzi and do your best thinking there.
Yes! I love the fact that the reference to the jacuzzi got in. I love it.
Oh, man. I can't. I've long been trying to find the place where I do my best thinking. And I haven't tried a jacuzzi. Maybe that's the spot.
That's going to be my next
That
place.
is one of my favorite lines in that movie.
It really
is so funny.
So let me ask you this. Now, going back to the skateboard guy. Now, Hard Ticket to Hawaii came out around the same time as the 4th Police Academy movie. Who do you think did more for skateboarders in movies? Hard Ticket to Hawaii or Police Academy 4?
I can't remember Police Academy.
Unfortunately, the only things that I really can remember are most movies. I can't remember anything that I did like yesterday or 2 weeks ago, or even like 20 years ago, but I remember movies that I see.
Well, I think that the
fact that a tough era for me.
I think the fact that we can't even remember Police Academy 4 skateboard scene would argue that Hard Ticket to Hawaii did more for skateboards.
Well, none of the guys from Police Academy 4 rode on their skateboard in a handstand motions.
Right.
Or held up a inflatable sex doll as cover.
Yeah, right. Well, sometimes your sex dolls just got to take the bullet, man.
We didn't either.
I never understood that.
I was hoping you would have more insight because I was like, wait, huh?
There's a lot of those wait, huh moments. Wait, huh? Wait,
and why waste one of your rockets on blowing up the sex doll?
You know what, Brian? That is the perfect analogy for the movie. Wait, huh?
Yeah, that really is it.
That should be the tagline, Hard Ticket to Hawaii. Wait, huh?
Yeah. There's never been a snake on the island, huh?
every time. Like the wait, huh moments there happen about every 5 minutes at least.
That's the drinking game right there. Every time you gotta say, huh? Wait, huh?
Wait, huh?
You gotta drink. You know what's funny is that Shane does a sort of a sister show to the Plotaholics podcast called Shane Wilson's Drunk Reviews.
No.
Yes, I can't even imagine how drunk Shane would be reviewing Hard Ticket to Hawaii for his drunk reviews if he drank every time he had to say, huh?
So I'm going to tell you something. This is funny. So you guys both know a little bit about me and a little bit about my past. So well, maybe you don't. I don't know how much you know. You guys reached out. Well, first of all, let me back up. So you guys reached out to me to do Plotaholics, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I get asked constantly to do podcasts. I've got on my email all over the place. I haven't responded to a lot of them. I'm in the midst of moving. I don't know. I just don't have the time for them. And for some reason, I love the name. I told Shane yesterday, I Googled you guys. You guys came up. The first thing I saw was the Hard Ticket to Hawaii, and I played it. And which I don't think I told Shane, I have never listened to one podcast of someone who's asked me to do a podcast. Ever.
Oh, wow.
Ever. So I'm listening to it. I'm cracking up at you two, listening to you narrate the movie, right? I'm cracking up and I'm typing it. I'm typing a letter to Shane as I'm doing it. I'm going, I got to get on your guys' podcast. I have to. And I wasn't sure, Brian, if you guys did it together or Brian, if you were a guest on it. So I wasn't quite clear.
Oh
yeah,
no, we're the co-hosts of it. We technically have a third Plotaholic, but he's sort of like a cameo.
Okay, got it.
He's a cameo.
Yeah.
But
I got right on it. I jumped on it. I said, I got to jump on with you guys. I thought you guys were phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. I've been looking forward to this.
I'm glad that we got together.
Moment. I don't know where I'm going with.
You know what?
Well, we appreciate. You know what? We will knight you. You knighted us. We will knight you. The fourth Plotaholic.
That's right.
Thanks.
Absolutely.
You're so funny. But I was going to tell you guys something. I can't now. I forgot what I was going to tell you.
Sounds like you're having a Brian Tan moment because I do that all the time to Shane. I was
It sounds like you were getting ready to tell us that we're the greatest podcast on the internet.
You guys are. You guys really know that. There was a reason I was telling you something. Oh, and it was really important. It must have been a lie. That's what I said when I forget. It must have been a lie.
It must have been a lie.
I know what it was. So I know exactly what it was. Because Shane, you were talking about your drunken movie things, right? So anyway, back in the 80s, I mean, you guys don't know a whole lot about what I do now. But back in the 80s, I mean, I was a heavy drinker and a heavy partier. And now I'm a sober coach and I do all these things and I mentor women and I'm all grown up and all these things now. But Hard Ticket to Hawaii, oh, this is hilarious, was the only movie I ever drank in. The only movie. Wow. And I show up in that movie drunk off my ass.
Oh,
really?
Was it all of them?
So listen to this. Is so funny. God bless Arlene and Andy for ever hiring me back. So because they worked us so many hours, they'd say, okay, listen, be ready to shoot at 12 o'clock. Be ready to shoot at 12 o'clock. So 12 o'clock noon, I'm in makeup and hair and I'm ready to shoot. Okay, 1 o'clock. We need you at 1. And I'm like, 1 o'clock, well, I'm going to the beach, but I'll be ready. 1 o'clock, get ready to go to Hermit. 1 o'clock rolls into 2. 2 o'clock rolls into 3. 3 o'clock rolls into 4. The biggest scene we're shooting, right? The biggest scene we're shooting is the scene where myself and Taryn walk into Edie's restaurant, right? With all the extras and the dancers and the band and the whole thing, right? So by the time we shoot it, it's like 10 or 11 o'clock at night. Right. I've been laying in the sun all day. I must have drank 2 6-packs of beer. And by then we were doing tequila shooters. Right? Oh boy. I'm totally sunburnt. Completely. Makeup has got to do a full-on do-over on me because I'm bright red. I'm in this yellow outfit. I come rolling in. All I have to do is walk in, hit my mark, say 2 lines, right? And then we go to a shoot into another area, right? I walk in, I cannot hit my mark for the life of me. Wow. I can walk in, boom, right over my mark. Take 1. And these extras have been waiting all day for us. The dancers, the band, the people sitting at the tables, and I can't hit my mark. Finally, when I hit, and I keep stumbling over my mark, and which means I'm not in my light. So I miss my mark. I'm missing the lighting. I can't get my words right. I'm stumbling, staggering, drunk. I mean, it was horrible. It was absolutely horrible.
Man, I'd love to see the bloopers from that.
Oh my God! Thank God! And finally, I hit my mark. I say my lines, and I go, and I roll my eyes. You see, it was hilarious. Thank God for the editors. And then I keep drinking, and all the rest I'm sober. Every other movie I did for a month sober, and I got.
You're
sober.
probably the only person that got sober at the end of Hard Ticket to Hawaii.
Everyone else is like, I got to start drinking. Right. You're like,
everybody. Oh my God, I was such a nightmare. It was such a nightmare. God bless Andy and Arlene. It was horrible. It was horrible.
Well, I definitely want to applaud what you're doing now, because I did read over your one sheet and I went to your website, and God bless you what you're doing now, because there's that's something that's really needed, women's advocacy and just ways for women to sort of not just deal with the trauma they went through with their victimhood, but moving past it in healthy ways. And just God bless you, because I mean, some of the stuff I read over as well, and it shocked the hell out of me, and it kind of stirred this, and I've talked about this before, and Shane heard me talk about it. This protective, get mad at someone nature, because especially when everything came out about a man whose name I won't even utter again. But I grew up looking up to this guy, because I didn't really have my dad. So he was like a makeshift dad. Now it's just like, wow, I hate you even more now than I did a little bit ago. Like, thank God for Carl Winslow, or otherwise I'd have no TV dad.
Yeah. So, I work with a great deal of young women, a lot of minors. I work with a lot of adult women. So I've been sober off drugs and alcohol for 33 years. So I got sober when I was 23 years old, because I had a really serious drug and alcohol problem. A lot of it brought on by sexual violence when I was younger and that kind of thing. But, we're all, if you got it, you're born with drug and alcohol tendencies. It's that simple, regardless of what has happened to you. And then we all have our dramas that we have to deal with. It's that simple. And what we do with them going forward is what we do with them. We want to be a victim, we can be a victim. If we want to be a survivor, we be a survivor. If we want to go forward and help others, God bless us, let's do it. And that's what I've chosen to do. And today, my life is a really amazing life. I have an incredible life. I have a 25-year-old son who, unfortunately, I ended up raising by myself, who's never seen me drink or use. He's never seen me pick up alcohol. And considering the way I lived my life up to 23 years old, that is a miracle. Today, it's a totally different ballgame for me. In fact, right before I got on the phone with you guys, I was on the phone with my business partner. Her name's Catherine, and we own a sober companion business. And what we do is we get calls from different hospitals, and we go and live with high-profile women or celebrity-type women who, because of certain situations, cannot be by themselves after they get out of treatment, because they're not covered by HIPAA anymore. In other words, they cannot go into secondary living environments. Right. So we go and move in with them for 60 days. So we do that, as well as I coach them now by Zoom and things like that. And then also I was most fortunate enough to open up a women's living environment, actually as a treatment facility for women who can't afford treatment. So there's a lot of young girls nowadays who believe it or not, this day and age, who do not have insurance. They don't have insurance, and they have nowhere to go for 30 days for drug and alcohol treatment. There's the Betty Fords, and there's all these places in Malibu, and I used to live in Newport Beach, and there's all these places, but there aren't places for women to go who have no money. And so myself and another two people opened up a place that for 30 days, we will clothe them and house them and feed them for 30 days and bed them and put them through treatment and help them get into a secondary living environment and scholarship them. And to this day, I think we've had over 2,800 women go through at no charge. That's so awesome. I stepped down as the chairman of the board for that, and it's still being ran today. And I'm still actively involved, but as sitting on the board, no longer hands-on. So, I'm kind of involved in every little area different ways. And, that's my passion, and that's what I do to give back into the community. And that's probably what's most important to me today, no longer acting and being in front of people like that. But it also serves as a platform for me to say, you can get help, and if you need it, I can help direct you to that.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and you're doing really, really, really great work out there for sure.
Thanks.
With so much negative in the world today, it's really nice to hear something like this because, me, I'm raised by a single mother myself, and it's hard out there when you feel like you're doing it all alone, and I think the worst thing that any human being can be made to feel by somebody else is that without their abuse, you're alone. You've got nobody, and that's the best you can do. So God bless you for doing, just doing good work like that to help people, because it's painful to hear about, and it's painful to go through with reminders. And
we show by example. We show by example, and that's Absolutely. What I was taught by other women before me, and I taught that to my son. And you know what? Today, I got to tell you, I never thought I'd be a single mom. Being a single parent is tough. Probably the toughest thing I ever did in my life. My ex-husband decided not to be part in raising them, and you know what? I decided to have a kid, and so I decided I had to raise them. And it's tough. You're single. It's tough. And I don't come from a broken family, so it was tough. And, I didn't go to college. I dropped out of high school. And I just recently went back and graduated high school. That was
congratulations.
Congratulations.
That is awesome.
I wore my little graduation cap, right? I mean, I went back and sat in class with a bunch of high school dropouts. They were all like 18, 19 years old. It was freaking hilarious. It was hilarious. Awesome. It was, and I walked. This was a couple of years ago, and I walked, in graduation, and on my little cap, it said 39-year plan. Check.
Now, did any of your classmates know that you were the Dona Speir?
Not a one.
No?
Nope, not a one. Not a one. Are you kidding? I got milk in my refrigerator older than those kids.
I'm actually excited because I'm getting to a point where I can say the same thing about people. I used to tell my mother when I was like 18 or 15, I'm just training to be an angry old man so I can yell at kids and shout at the clouds. And
right.
I'm just about there.
And
I am so excited to be at that level where people can take my strange nature and just say, he's just old.
Right. Donna, I want to give you an opportunity to talk a little bit about your book.
Yeah.
Naked Truth: The Fall and Rise of Dona Speir.
So here it is. I'll tell you what. So for years, I have been a speaker for many, many years in recovery. And a lot of people have always asked me, Donna, are you going to write a book? And I'm like, yeah, I'll get around to it. And, one day it was on my bucket list. And I decided one day I was going to do it. And so I wrote the book. I was grateful enough to have a co-author by the name of Chris Epting. And he guided me through writing it. And Chris Epting has written 30 books. He's actually very, very well known. I caught him in between writing John Oates' memoir from Hall & Oates. Oh. And he's just finishing up the Doobie Brothers 50th anniversary. So he's actually like a really grown-up writer. And I'm like a writer. And it's my memoir. I wrote it from when I was young until I think I finished it the year my father passed. Till I was 19 years sober. And you know what? It's raw. It is harsh. It is, I hold nothing back. I hold nothing back. And
Well, your story is incredibly compelling,
It really
and
is.
I think that anyone would be doing themselves a favor to pick that up and give it a read. I'm going to pick up a copy for sure.
Thanks, Shane. Thanks.
Absolutely.
It's got great reviews on Amazon. I was very, very blessed. And so, I've been out right up until March 15th. I was out internationally speaking on my book, and then we got bumped with COVID, and it cleared my calendar until January. I pick it back up, and I'm going out to the Caribbean to speak on it. So, hopefully if we're up and running. If not, then I guess God's got other plans for me. So,
well, if you go to the Caribbean, maybe you can get the band back together and make another movie.
Yeah, that was another question. Are you still in touch with any of your old co-stars?
I occasionally speak with Roberta once in a while. I mean, I'm still friendly with everybody. I talk to Ron Moss occasionally. He ended up marrying Devin DeVasquez.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. I speak with Arlene occasionally. Who else do I talk to? Bruce Penhall every now and then. Him and I lived together, not together, but close in the same neighborhood at one time. But not so much. I live in Northern California now, and I've lived here for 15 years, so I don't see anybody too often.
Yeah. Well, is there anything else on that bucket list? Any other projects that you see yourself tackling moving forward? I know you've got a ton of stuff on your plate already, but...
Well, let's see. Graduating high school was there. Writing my memoir was there. I've hit Egypt. I hit Israel. Hot air ballooning across Europe was on there. I hit that one. I mean, I hit a lot of them. I mean, I'm nailing left and right. I need to learn a second language. That one's going to be coming up. Running a marathon's going to be coming up. I'm just plotting through them. We'll see. Maybe next time we interview, I'll have hit a few more.
Nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I was going to actually invite you, if we ever do, and I believe that we probably will sooner than later, another Andy Sedaris film. Will you come on and be the fourth Plotaholic for that episode?
I'm all over it. I'll over it. You just let me know when I'm here, guys.
Love it.
Yeah. I have another question for you.
Yeah.
Sure.
What would Donna Hamilton be doing now? What would your character Donna be doing now? Did she retire from the agency or just go to do something else? Like, in your mind, what has she been up to?
She'd be getting out of bed going,
I got to go do some thinking in the jacuzzi.
No, she'd be let's see, she would have given up those cowboy boots by now, and
well, the uniforms are probably updated at this point, right?
Yeah.
Let me see, what would Donna Hamilton be doing now? What would she be doing now? She'd still be kicking it on the beach. Oh, I learned to surf. I took surfing lessons, so she'd be surfing. That was something on my bucket list that I did last year in Hawaii. So I learned to surf. That was on my bucket list. So she'd be surfing. She would be scuba diving. I'm a certified scuba diver. She would be, she would have upgraded from the stupid motorcycles to Harley Davidsons. And
hopefully she's not dating that Abilene boy anymore. He can't shoot for shit.
No.
She learned her lesson.
Yeah, she's done with that nonsense.
Yeah, she's going to upgrade from the Abilene.
She's done with those Southern boys.
I just the one scene in the movie that really, in Hard Ticket to Hawaii, that really got me was the frisbee toss where he kills the guy with the frisbee with the razor blade. And you can see he's caught it and he's got to hold it in place.
They love that. They love that one, the frisbee one. The shooting of the blow up doll is a big one. The snake in the toilet's a big one, and Rodrigo Obregon with the shooting of the. We lost Rodrigo this year.
Oh wow!
He passed, yeah, right, and he was a good guy, bad guy in all of them. Mm-hmm. He played Seth Romero, I think, in that film.
Yep.
Now we lost him. It's funny. He was a huge actor in Colombia. And his father was a huge, very, very well-known artist, painter in Colombia. And yeah, he died. He was diagnosed with cancer out of the blue and died like that. So we were really sad this last year, probably 6 months ago. I mean, just out of the blue, just died. So, I mean, they had this huge military funeral for him. He was so well known. I mean, all these military marching down the street. I mean, it was huge. If you Google him in Colombia, I mean, it was like, we were like, wow, we knew he was big, but he was like, really?
You guys definitely had a most epic hand-to-hand combat scene at the end of that
Your
movie.
fight scene was really ahead of its. That was really kind of ahead of its time. Even.
I accidentally hit him.
Really?
Yeah, because I came at him with a punch and I accidentally hit him.
Good for you.
Yeah, coming out of the kitchen or bathroom or crawling around. Yeah, I remember.
So,
I forgot about that.
He did about do that whole Pee Wee Herman death scene from Buffy the Vampire Slayer, because no matter what you did, this guy wouldn't die. He was Kenny.
You know, he was the nicest man. I mean, he was the most, because he was raised so well. I guess his mom was really to do in Colombia. Mm-hmm. And he was such a gentleman. You'd never know it by his things. But, you know, I remember when he threw the wrap party at his house. I mean, he had these little elaborate gifts for everybody.
That's awesome. He
was just like such a gentleman. He really was. I mean, he was an amazing man.
He was he made a good he made a great bad guy in those films.
He was an incredible actor. I mean, he was a singer, and I remember seeing the pictures of his funeral. I mean, they had the military marching. I mean, they laid him in wait, and they had all the flags around him like he was a general or something. I mean, I don't know who he was in Colombia, but he was a big guy.
Wow.
The thing that I think I love the most about this movie, and most of these movies, is that the women are in charge of these movies. Right?
Yeah.
Like, you guys call the shots. You end up rescuing the men more than they ever rescue you, which is awesome.
So lame.
Do what?
They were.
So lame.
Yeah.
They really were. They really were.
And that's what we talked about that on the podcast, that anytime anytime the guys sort of gave you guys shit, you gave it right back to them and better.
You know, that was an Arlene thing. I gotta tell you, Arlene kind of wore the pants in the family. She really did. It was interesting. She was a tough little New York Jew. And though Andy had won 7 Emmys. Did you know that?
Yeah, we did know that.
Andy was an ABC Wide World of Sports guy. Did you know that Andy was also responsible for the Honey Shot?
Yes, we
okay.
We know,
and he also
that's very on brand for Andy.
Yes. And he also was at the Olympics. He was the director of the Olympics for ABC when the Munich Olympics, when all the Olympians were shot.
Oh wow.
Yeah, there's a lot of history to Andy. But all of that stuff, the feminism and all that, came from Arlene. She's a tough cookie. She really, Arlene called the shots. Andy made the shots, but Arlene called the shots.
Well, that is good to know, because
purse strings, she did all of that. She was on set every single day.
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
I had my theory, and I said this to you on the phone yesterday, Donna, that Andy was a secret feminist, but now I'm finding out that he was just a camera and Arlene was actually pulling all the shots.
Yes.
There you go.
And that's the one thing that I really appreciated, was that, now granted, you know, seeing the movies when I was younger, obviously we all know what I was watching for. Right. But watching them now as an older guy, it's like, yeah, you know, the women in this movie, the beautiful faces are what draw you in, but it's the badass of the characters that make you really appreciate it. And I think, you know, when you said earlier, you know, who's watching this, I think people are seeing that badassery. Could have been. Some could argue that you were the precursor to Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow. You could have been the precursor.
I'd have to make a pretty big argument.
you, Linda Carter, and Tootie from The Facts of Life. The three of you.
Oh, man. Stretching the Brian, you're full at it.
Well,
Very
you
funny.
know, my mother did say that when I try, I can stretch things out as far as necessary.
Right. That's funny.
But no, in all honesty, that's something that I definitely wanted to definitely give props towards because, and you know, to Arlene, but even to you all as the talent for really embracing that, and even the guys in the movie, it's almost like they know that they're
cute.
second fiddle.
They're the
Right.
yeah.
They're the silliness, that they're not there to be Van Damme or Schwarzenegger.
No.
They're not there for that.
No.
This was the ladies' show.
Right.
Well, and what's so great is even like the nudity is not filmed in an objectifying sort of way
No,
most
no,
of the
no.
time.
No.
It's filmed in a very sort of matter of fact sort of way.
Yeah,
Right,
this is
right.
just, it's almost like simply like, you know, when anyone is at home, you're going to dress as comfortably as you are. You're not there to be you're just doing.
Right.
And it was very well done in I'll even say artistic, because any fool can just take pictures or film something,
Right.
but to make it look
Our
in a
love
right way.
scenes were never simulated sex. They were never anything like that. In fact,
Right.
I think the last 4 films I did, I never had a love scene in them.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that weird? They may have gotten tired of seeing my body. I don't know what it was, but I just did. And then I think I finally had one with Eric Estrada. But shooting those love scenes were never, everybody goes, well, how was it to shoot? How was it to shoot? And I mean, I don't know if you've seen all the films, that I can't even tell you what film it was in, because they all kind of run together, but they're not particularly sexy to shoot. Everybody asks how we shoot them. They're not sexy or sexual to shoot whatsoever. When I did my one with Eric Estrada, we were in a pool, and they forgot to heat it.
Ooh.
So we're jumping in and jumping out as quick as possible. And then on the side, Eric, it's so gross.
Now I gotta know.
Eric and I had like a bag of corn chips, and we're eating these corn chips, and then we're kissing each other. We got corn chips all in our mouth. We're going, we're like, have these corn. It was so disgusting. And we're laughing, and we're cold, and we got corn chips, and we smell like Fritos. So cool.
That sounds hilarious. Now when I watch the movie, I'm just gonna be like, there's the corn chips. There's the corn chips.
I mean, it was great. You ever like kiss someone with like popcorn on your tongue or something?
That's actually one of my biggest pet peeves. Whenever my wife goes to, she'll go to kiss me. I'm like, ew, you got food in your mouth.
Right. That's what it was.
It's like, no, because I swear, if I get your food in my mouth, I'm gonna be sick all over you.
You're kind of like throwing up in your mouth.
Ugh.
And imagine kissing something you don't even know. I was like,
Lord. That's gotta be weird. That's
totally weird.
it's like, dude, I don't care if you were punched. This is weird. But
When I was a kid,
Cold. Don't touch me.
When,
Your hands are cold. Your body's cold. The water's cold. You got food in your mouth.
Go away.
Oh, we're laughing through the whole thing. They're like, could you quit laughing? No, it's cold.
when I was a kid, I thought Eric Estrada I thought he was a girl named Erica Estrada for a really long time.
Erica Estrada.
Because I had never seen anything that had Eric Estrada in it, and my mom would say Eric Estrada, and I would be like, I don't see a girl on the screen.
I gotta
Who's
make a
this
character named Erica Estrada.
Isn't that
There you
funny? What we did was we had Danny Trejo on his very first film.
I did see some of that. Yeah.
And he didn't talk. He was so much fun to work with. Oh my God,
Yeah.
Danny was Ryan. I loved Danny.
Yeah, that was before he did Blood In, Blood Out, because he did Blood In, Blood Out like a little bit after that.
He'd never been in front of a movie camera.
Wow.
That was his very first role. I loved Danny. He was so much fun. He was so funny. He was so Danny and I just got along so well. He was a riot.
And now he's Machete.
Yeah, he's
that's right.
Now, were you in the one movie with Pat Morita? Because I know
Mhm.
Pat Morita. What was it like? What was it like being with him? Because I hear he was like a real funny guy. Because a lot of people don't know he was a comedic actor before The Karate Kid.
I only did a couple scenes. So you got to remember, when there's good guy and bad guy, they shoot us separately.
Okay.
So good guys always shoot together, bad guys always shoot together. So we rarely intermingle. So we only shot a couple of scenes together, though Pat and I did do a lot of personal appearances together, signing autographs. So he was a nice guy. He was pretty funny. I mean, he was different. He was different.
Well, Donna, I know we're up against the hour here, and we don't want to hold you any longer than we need to. I know that your house is an escrow.
Eskimo.
It's an Eskimo.
That's right. Donna's house is an Eskimo. Here, Dona Speir, you can find her over on Instagram at Dona Speir Recovery, and over at Facebook, you just search Dona Speir for her fan page, and then donaspeir.com. The book is Naked Truth: The Fall and Rise of Dona Speir. Donna, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Thank you.
You guys, thanks so much for having me. It was such a pleasure. It really was. Shane, Brian, you guys are terrific. Thank you so much for having me today.
Plotaholics, ripping plots apart for you.
Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.